I don't know how to build a house. I don't know. I don't even know what a rafter or a truss or like I don't care. Like I know that this is a great product and I can answer all the questions you got about this. And you kind of early adopted the thing of like I don't know what I don't know, but I know that it's a good opportunity and we got people on the team that can explain it.
When I first started, I was literally like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, and I remember we had all these questions, and me and Olivia are looking at each other like, guess we just hop on the phone and just get people to build a barn dominium.
What's up, Shannon?
Not much. What's up?
Not much. I'm excited to finally have you on the show so people can see Shannon the Cannon in action.
Finally.
Yeah.
So glad I'm finally here. Not a salty dig at all.
Well, I guess set the tone would be you were one of the OGs. Like, you were one of the first sales hires. You and Olivia, y'all were the first two. Y'all came in and, we had it way more figured out back then than we do now. um, how tell the story how you got here.
All right. So I started in real estate in about 2019, was a solo agent for a couple years. Then I joined a real estate team with Keller Williams. And that was back when the market was crazy after COVID. So, crazy multiple offers on houses, things flying off the shelf in 24 hours. So it was very like stressful, especially having a family and going through, some personal issues at the time. So I loved real estate, but I was hitting that wall of like complete utter burnout. So I was friends with Gabby, mutual friends, and Gabby is this, superstar real estate agent, has her team. And I think at the time you were trying to get her on as a sales agent at Barndo. And so she, was in the same spot as far as burnout, and she found her path and she was guiding me as far as like trying to, get me out of the situation I was in into something, a better opportunity. So she texted me, she's like, I gotta tell you about something. I'm like, what? And so I got on the call and she's like, I talked to this dude. His name's TJ Norris. And I think we were friends on Facebook. So I was following you at the time and you were doing lives. And I was like, he seems like a really like interesting dude with all these like cool ideas and everything. So I had some background. But she's like, yeah, he has this company selling barn dominiums. I was like, what the heck is a barn dominium? Like, I'm from New York. I have no idea what the heck a barn dominium is. So, like, go on Instagram and start researching barn dominiums. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, I want to learn more about it. And my late husband at the time was like, ooh, we got to build one. Like, let's get on a call with TJ. And I don't know if you remember, but we booked a discovery call and discussing barn dominiums. So it's kind of funny. Like I was on the other side of that. Like now I'm doing all the discovery calls, taking discovery calls and whatnot, and answering the same questions that I had for you. And I remember like some of your responses. I was like, well, what about the durability on these things? And you're like, you can land a helicopter on these barn dominiums. And
Yeah.
like you had us like so sold. Like I got that Barndo bug. And so I was like, all right, like let me kind of look into this. And so I think Gabby set us up on a coffee
Yep.
date or whatever. I think it was like at Barista Alley, downtown Greer.
Yep.
And I was a little like, let me bring my bestie, Tatiana. Like, I asked if that was okay. Yeah, bring her. And so you kind of discussed the whole opportunity and whatnot. And I was still like a little hesitant, unsure. So I sent Tatiana off and I was like, you test the waters, be the guinea pig and, report back to me. And so she started over there as your, I guess, executive assistant, right, at the time. And she's like, Jan, I think it's a really good opportunity. You need to come join. And I was like, I don't know. And then finally she's like, look, teacher's going to rule you out if you don't just make a decision now and make a move. And so I was trying to get concrete, like, well, what do you think I'll make here? And like, how many sales do you think I'll make in a year? And there's just no historicals really at the time. So I was like, this is going to just be a leap of faith. And so I did it. I had a good feeling about it. And so joined, I guess that was 22, something around that.
Summer of 22.
Summer of 22. Yeah. And yeah, so that's how I found Bardo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you came in and that was the transition period of we just moved into that Duncan office.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was trying to find salespeople, so I could go focus on other things and help, grow the company and get out of having to have 7,000 phone calls a day. And I remember you guys coming in. You're like, "So what do we do?" I was like, "You just get these people to onboard and get into the process." And I was trying to build out that process at that point in time.
Mhm.
And you were like, "Who do we call?" And I was like, "Well, here's 14,000 people that
I
that are
remember
making
that.
appointments." And back then, like we didn't even have like a fully automated system. Like people would be calling in, and I would just write their information on sticky notes and stick it on the door
Mhm.
of your office, and y'all would come in, and there would just be hundreds of
I
sticky
still
notes.
have that as memorabilia for the caveman days, like how me and Olivia used to divvy out leads manually, and we had that call list. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, but that's where it started, and like, you know, the fun thing is like you and Olivia are two completely different people,
So opposite. Yeah.
and I it was good because I got to see what worked for two different styles of sales consultants, and Olivia was very interested in all the finite details of how things go put together and all that. She's got a very thinker mind, right?
Mhm.
She's got to be able to see from this moment to the very end to get there. And you're more like me, right? Like I can sell the experience because I don't know how to build a house. I don't know. I don't even know what a rafter or a truss or like I don't care. Like I know that this is a great product and I can answer all the questions you got about this. And you kind of early adopted the thing of like I don't know what I don't know, but I know that it's a good opportunity and we got people on the team that can explain it. And then you guys in there just dialing, 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 and then you had that first onboard, and it was just like the ice broke.
Mhm.
And I can remember, because we were coming off of like that was really the viability scale. Was like we got serious about it in like March of that 2022, and kind of perfected the process, and we had broke through finally with the financing issues and stuff, and had a little bit of an opportunity to really start servicing a bigger number of people. And I had already sold like 60 something Barndos. And so we were trying to figure out how in the world we are going to produce all of those. And you guys are in there for probably the first 30 days, just like dialing and like trying to get your feet under you. And Ross was panicking. He was like,
Per
"This isn't going
usual.
to work. This isn't going to work, TJ. This is not going
Yeah.
to work. Like, there's no names going on the board, man. We're just doing this. We're doing." And I was like, "Bro, we don't need names on the board right now. Like, it's going to be fine. Just give it a second. Like, this is new." Right. And I remember the first conversation was you're going to have to unrealtor yourself,
Mhm.
and get into the habit of what you're selling something different. You're selling something new, and there's nothing. We didn't even have the ability for them to go tour properties. We had like two that were in
Right.
construction, um, and then it clicked, and then it was just like Katie bar the door, and it was the point of maximum viability of like this is real. It's not just something that I can craft up a speech to get people in on it because I've got the ability to like if I tell you something, I also have the ability to make the executive decision that we will do that.
Mhm.
And you didn't have that. And so you guys had a lot of questions and it challenged me to be able to like help you guys make decisions on the fly because we're building a brand new product in a brand new market, no historicals, no nothing. And then when you got your teeth in the first one, it was like I think it was a moment of belief there where you're like, "Oh, it is that easy. It is possible."
Mhm.
And then it was just like a slew of them. And you 2 fired up, I think on the same day or within 24 hours of each other, y'all
Mhm.
both got your first one. And then it was just like an onslaught. And you guys were doing I mean, there was times then you're onboarding 15, 20 new clients a month. It just boom, 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 boom. Just and I remember thinking like, "Oh my God, now we got 2 of them. We got 2. We
Mhm.
got 2 of them that are selling like this." It's like and it was just it was a fun experience because we were building it, right? And so like it was changes every day. Talk a little bit about that. Like you came in, we had a
Ooh.
system, and then we would go into the field, we'd encounter an issue, and so we'd have to make some changes so that we could like correct that. And we've been doing that now. You for 2.5 years now
Mhm.
have lived through all these changes, right? From pricing to the way we build to the selections we do to the process of how we do it and how we get this. And, like, we used to a la carte everything. So, like, we would say, "Hey, look, like, we'll do this piece and you can handle your own grading and you can handle this." And, like, we learned over time that, like, that's okay when you're building 15 barns.
Right.
That does not correlate over to 150, 250 barns. And so you've lived through massive changes. Like you were here in like the dust of the earth moment of Barndo to where we are now, like coming off the hills of the annual where we launched Barndo 2.0. Like, what has that been like? Like the thinking on your feet.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I was literally like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, and I remember we had all these questions, and me and Olivia are looking at each other like, guess we just hop on the phone and just get people to build a barn dominium. And like, it was like, I mean, I've never built a house, but I knew we had a team that could do it. And you instilled that confidence in me. So I leaned on that confidence. And then that's what they're looking at, when you're selling is like just, transferring that confidence to that person that we're going to bring you. I mean, there's probably going to be lots of curvy pads along the way, and there's going to be challenging moments, but ultimately their dream to build their barn dominium, we're going to get you there. And I'm like, if I can just, communicate that confidence to them, that's all I need to do. That's my job right now. And that's what I'll do. And it almost was easier to sell like back then when you're just going in blindly and you're like, well, like, how do you do this? And how do you do that? I'm like, a project manager will discuss all of that with you and, let's get on board. Like, let's get this house built. And just people came in droves. So that was, but yeah, we didn't have like the SOPs that we have now. It was just which, got me into a little bit of trouble sometimes because I'm a big like I'm the first person to be like, "Oh yeah, you want like a slide? Do you want like this hidden passageway? Like let's do all of it. Like that's so cool." So to me it was like we'll figure it out. And, like you said, there's less bills, but that's not scalable. We can't do that once we get to a certain amount. So now there's, certain systems and processes in place that I am trying so hard to follow. I'm not the most, like you said, Olivia and I are just so vastly different where Olivia is very detail oriented. She's got systems and like processes, and I'm there just like, let's sell, do, 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 do. And the back end work is what I struggle with. But that's why I'm so excited about all the changes too. And thank God for Lexi
Yeah.
helping with proposals and all of that, because I'm good with the front end work as far as getting people excited, getting, that part. And then it's like, hitting that bottleneck situation where I've onboarded all these people and now it's the, following through all the paperwork, and we didn't have people in place at the time. So you're wearing like a million hats. Like, okay, like what do they need for permitting? What do they need for, helping them through finance, and then getting specialty quotes on this, that, and the other. So me being freaking ADD to the extreme did not work with my brain because I'm just like the bandwidth of all those people. And then it's very detail oriented. So I kind of hit a situation where it was like, I need help. Like I can't do all this on my own. So then the journey of like hiring assistants, hiring help, and learning just as I went, some decisions weren't the best as far as hiring. And I'm excited now, like seeing where we've come or where we were and where we are now. I feel like we're in such a group of like one of the most talented groups of people I know. But I think now everyone's sitting in the seats that they're supposed to so we can function as like a well oiled machine. And like I can finally focus on what I'm good at, which is selling and not like all the back end paperwork and everything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you got to live through
right.
the growth.
Yeah.
And as good as it is, it's burdensome.
Hmm.
And so, but that's how you scale. And so part of the last year especially has been how do we scale this so that Shannon can do what Shannon's great at, right? Like on the phone, you're the elite. You're one of the elite of like being able to just hear someone out. They're nervous. They have no idea, right?
Hmm.
And they're trying to get it out of their brain and onto paper and figuring that out. And you have a really good gift of being able to meet people where they are and like meet their energy with your energy because you can be the highest energy in the room. And you also have that somber side where you can come down and like meet people when they're anxious, right?
Hmm.
And you're really good at that. And like, um, probably really closely mirrored to like my way of doing business and the way that I sold. You're the probably the closest one that I can think of. Alicia was a lot like that too. When she was an agent, right?
Hmm.
Is like you had the ability to mirror the situation and help a wide variety of people, right? Like most people can work with you on the thing that you're great at on the front side of the business. Um, and in those growing pains, like it was overwhelming because we had hundreds of people, you
Mhm.
know, onboarding. And I think in y'all's first year, I mean, we had like 250 new clients come in the door from just you and Olivia.
Right.
And you know, trying to scale that up and get all the pieces in place and hire the people to go and build it and making sure that we were not missing details on you know what we're servicing and where we're putting it and all these different things. And like I think being through that gives you a greater appreciation of the team members that are in place now.
Mhm.
But the problem with it was is like it pulled you out of 100% focus of where you're great.
Mhm.
Um, and so we're really excited about having this Barndo 2.0 as well because it's like we're finally at a position where we have all the right people and all the right seats, and we're constantly monitoring that. And so, like, people have heard me talk on this podcast a million times about feedback, and like, we take feedback from clients really seriously. You know, we've had a lot of tough conversations where, you know, a client and had a perspective on something, and I might
Mhm.
not even agree with them, but I take it seriously. And we are going to come up with a corrective action plan, and we're going to come up with a way to prevent that from happening in the future at all costs.
Mhm.
We also do that inside. So you guys are coming to us like, hey, this isn't working. Hey, this is working. And like, we're constantly solving problems from every direction to try to compensate for the fact that like tomorrow looks different than today. That's the speed in which this thing is moving.
Mhm.
You know, like today's problems are not problems tomorrow because we're solving them, but new problems are being born every day that we're having to also solve. And so I think we slowed down to get better, but even at slowing down, we're moving at a speed that's like beyond the speed of light. We went from like 10xing year over year to 2xing year over year, and 100% growth is scary and volatile. 1,000% growth is even crazier. And so we intentionally slowed down. And a lot of people would look at it and be
Mhm.
like, you guys slowed down? Like, um, but we did. Like
Mhm.
we cut back substantially. There was a point in time to where we were pushing 15 to 1,800 people a week into y'all's pipeline. And you could there's no way like that we could even have that many conversations. And so
Right.
then like we squeezed it down and we started, you know, qualifying and disqualifying leads way ahead of schedule and got it narrowed down to like 150, 200, and then it's back up to like 4 or 500 a week coming in. And, you know, now we got multiple teams and multiple regions and all these different things. But that system is our ability to be dynamic and flexible to create something for the desired outcome,
Mhm.
which is to meet people where they are and have people who can handle each piece of that thing. So rather than you running to the river and scooping water and running back to the fire and dumping it, now we got that chain assembly thing, right? Right.
Mhm.
You're scooping water all day. You're the best water scooper there is, right? And then you get to pass it off and someone else and they pass it down the line and then eventually the fire gets put out. And
Right.
it's faster and it's more efficient and there's more people involved. But you had to grow to a point to where that was sustainable, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's I think that's the biggest difference in growth and scale. Growth is numbers are up, but you don't got the personnel, and you're dropping the ball because you're wearing 1,700 hats. Scale is you now have the people ahead of the process, ahead of the product,
Mhm.
and that's where we finally have found ourselves to where we're adequately staffed with a very systematic chain of events to get people through faster. And it's almost like a reverse psychology there because it's like more hands, but it gets done quicker, you
Mhm.
know? And it seems like it would be more complicated, but it's not. It's like, it's almost like an assembly line now.
Right.
Like everybody's got a specific duty and they do the same thing over and over and over again. And so you get really, really good at what you are good at,
At
right?
that one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can focus in on that.
Yep.
And it opens your, you have more bandwidth to do other things and do your job the best to your ability. It's like now that I'm still kind of we're transitioning, but I'm not as into the proposals as I was. So now it's like what can I do now? Like, motivate clients or help them with expectations and client experience. And I'm not bogged down with having to quote things and, starting a YouTube channel and educating prospective clients. So yeah, it's exciting because I can like now really like dive into the things that I'm good at and I enjoy.
So this episode is sponsored by the Barndo Co. You can visit us online at thebarndoco.com and get started building your dream barndominium today. We specialize in build on your lot turnkey barndominium solutions. We have a whole gallery of plans that you can explore through. You can also go full custom route. You can get in touch with us through the website by filling out the contact us form, and one of our Barndo professionals will reach out to you, get your dream started today. What do you think
Sure.
your favorite moment so far in your 2.5 years here is?
My favorite like moment?
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, it's always a great moment whenever you watch a client go from filled with fear before they onboard and like, can I do this? And then, seeing that come to reality and having that, the keys handed over and just like the look on their face. So definitely those moments are my favorite for sure. And just, going back, because I remember like so many of the like I can remember in detail like the conversations, the fears, the, what if this, what about that? And then that moment where they were like, I'm just kind of taking them by the hand and like, it's I'm here to help you. We're gonna work as a team and we're gonna get there. And then that just like, all right, I'm handing this over to you. Like I trust you. And then just seeing it all come to reality is always super exciting. Yeah.
What would you say in your experience is different about working at Barndo Co than somewhere else?
Just the camaraderie, and being able to, if you're struggling with something, now it's bigger, before it was just like very close knit. So you just like, hey, like, how do I do this? And now we have Slack and we can all like communicate like things that we're struggling with. How did you deal with this and whatnot? But also like I've never been in a place where it's so focused not only on your development professionally, but also personally. So like I've gained so much from just like the annuals or the quarterlies and just you too coming into my office and guiding me through like, personal things and how to be just a better person. And you always stress that like, you're not a human, you're a human being. You're not defined by what you do. And so just bettering myself as an individual so I can show up better in every facet, like in business, in my personal life, and they all like work together. So yeah, I love that, we're so focused on personal development as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun for me too because I get to see like
Yeah.
because I like the questions that I typically ask have nothing to do with business.
Yeah.
I strike up conversations and what are you working on? What's your selfish goals? And what's fun is like when you have someone and we don't have a high turnover rate at all. Like normally, like once you're in here, unless you faked your way in the door, like
Mhm.
it's like we create lifers. And what's fun about that is like through the growth of the company, I've seen so much growth in the people and to see things like I can remember the first time we ever sat down and we, reversed engineer goals and build out these storyboards. What has to be true for that to be true? And like you got this big vision and this goal for yourself, and we break it down to like strategic pieces of like,
Mhm.
okay, if that's the goal, this is the workload. And then seeing that adjust and seeing things change and like perspective change of like, well, like I could do that, but like it's going to take away time with, you know, Ellie, right?
Mhm.
And like having a real conversation there to where like I have the ability to value as a human being over a rock star employee because like
Right.
you're game, you're going to work, you're going to be like you're going to compete to win in anything that you do, like and having the ability to look at you and know that you are shoveling coal into this locomotive, but saying, hey, put the shovel down, go focus over here and like win there and like the freedom to
Mhm.
do that is refreshing for me because I've been the person in the organization
Yeah.
that's the killer right on the sales team and and that's all there is, right? That's everything is wrapped into that. And if I have a down month, then the psychology of that of like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm horrible. I'm like, they're going to
Oh,
fire
you
me
know how I
tomorrow.
spiral so bad. You
Yeah.
come in my office and I'm in the depths of despair when my numbers are down. You're like, it's gonna be okay. I'm like, no, I'm packing my bags. I'm done. I'm a failure. Like, I'm so dramatic. I know. But yeah, I do need that encouragement a lot. Like you're not just your work.
Yeah.
And you never are like, what can you do for me? Where I felt like that in other places. So
Yeah.
I think that's what really makes the culture unique.
Well, it's just
Uh,
fun because like I get to see the
yeah.
wins.
Right.
Like I've seen the struggles and then I see the win. And like I get experiencing that is the most fundamental milestone of success in my life to where nothing fulfills me more than to see someone write something down
Hmm.
and check it off and just seeing it happen. Like it's not like I did it. It's just we were intentional.
Right.
We got really intentional on what we're trying to build and seeing the persona change, right? Like it's not all about dollars. It's not all about income. It's more impact and like how I could do this and some of those conversations and like having this like even as we've gotten bigger, it's so family oriented business to where like, um, I got pictures that Ellie drew me 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
like they're in my office now. My office not even in the same office as your office. And like I got those. Like it like I love that connection of like we're just people doing
Right.
life together and like we're all in the same boat rowing the same direction and we're all working towards things and we've all got personal goals but we all have professional goals and finding harmony between those things and like it's just fun. It's fun to see that happen. And I remember that conversation at Barista Alley
Hmm.
very clear. You were so nervous about like what does it look like and I told you I was like and I remember specifically you asked a very specific question on conversion and volume. And I said, I don't know how to answer that question.
Right.
I don't know how to answer that question. I'm not going to tell you a lie,
Hmm.
but I think you'd be massively successful if you came. And it took a couple months. And we weren't even ready at that point in time for that. Like you were more like it was like a brokerage kind of thing, like on the real estate side. Like, and then Barndo kind of opened up to where I needed salespeople. And like that was where I knew, right? And that second interview at the Duncan office, and you're sitting there, and I was like, I can't promise you anything, but I think who you are, you'll be massively successful here. And then you did it, and you
Hmm.
did. Like you created it. Like so much of the growth and so much of the process was you guys in the trenches, right? Like we fail fast. And so we correct it. And so we're always sniff testing. And no matter how good we get, we're always getting better. And it goes back to those pillars of life and the pillars of how things operate, right? You got chaos,
Hmm.
adequate, good, and great. There is no other options. And so in the chaos, we became adequate.
Hmm.
We transitioned from adequate to good to the point where I'd say we were great, and then we pushed ourselves back into adequate because we raised the standard.
Right.
And we're constantly raising the standard. So it's not like we're getting worse. We're just raising the floor of what's possible. The ceiling's always going to be infinite. It's just raise the floor.
Yeah.
We've all learned so much and we've all encountered so many things now to where it's not like we're speaking from preference. We're speaking from experience. Hey, I agree with you. That'd be an incredible idea. But to implement it,
Hmm.
this is what it's going to cost. This is the time that's going to take. These are things you need to consider. And you can avoid those emotional pitfalls with people by just leveling with them. And when they look at it like that, where they can balance it and say, like, how cool would it be to have this one thing in our home? But then you compare it to what it's going to cost mentally, physically, and financially to make it happen.
Hmm.
And then they're like, yeah, you're right. That's dumb. We don't need to do that. And
Right.
so being able to just be more, I'd say the difference is like you were a sales expert. Now you're a Barndo expert. You know,
Hmm.
right? There's nobody more qualified.
Right.
Anywhere in the country, you're in the top 1% of people who could navigate someone through thought to getting the keys to their barndominium. And that happened because you jumped in and you rode this roller coaster and like we've bled together,
Yeah.
right? And then we win together. And so um it's just been it's been really fun to just see this thing grow legs and like it's not all TJ's great ideas, right? Like I was the crazy lunatic that went live on Facebook and said, "Hey, we're starting a barndominium company in Greenville," and got inundated with people.
Hmm.
But what made Barndo Co. a brand and not just a Barndo builder was the people that came in and created all this stuff, and you're part of that. And like,
Just as crazy as you. We're all
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. We drank the Kool
Rode the
Aid.
storm. Yep.
Um, but it's fun. So like now on the flip side of that, like right, yeah, you were in there in the beginning. You know, I think 2023 and 2024, you had the most onboards of anybody in the company. You know, the all the little challenges that we do, you win them all. You won the profit playoff, and you won it at the quarterly. Then you won the whole annual thing. Like as we pushed it through Q4, and like, um, you know, if it doesn't matter what it is. Like if we have a challenge, you're game. Like you're coming to
I need
win.
something to focus on because I'm so ADD. So it's like put a deadline, make it a challenge, and I'm all in and I'll focus in on it. So
Yeah,
I thrive in that type of
well, it's
situation.
unassuming, I think,
Yeah.
because you know, you're little and you're just so bubbly and happy and like la di da, and then like it's unassuming to
Yeah.
people. The like you're in it to win it. And so you bring it. Like it doesn't matter how they structure the game. I'm like, look, to win, you got to beat Shannon. You know, and if it's gamified, I'm addicted to that as well. You know, just
Need the dopamine hit, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's
Second is the
just
first loser. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
just and it's fun to watch that because you just that you command the respect of that is like if you want to go head to head, we can. And I love it. Like I love the challenge. And if someone beat you, it God forbid the next challenge because it's like you rise to the occasion in that and like I don't know. It's just really fun. It's fun to see it like be this thing where like you were talking about clients. I had this memory of like this client. They were scared and they had all these questions, and then to hand them the door keys, I had the same thing. Right. I
Yeah.
have this incredible employee who has scared, had all these questions, and then like
Mhm.
now like you get to sit across the table from me and talk about the success.
Right.
And it's just really cool. It's like a full circle moment to have that, and then to see how all the things work, and you guys help all these new people that come in, and like they got it easier, right? They got a better system they're walking into, but it doesn't take away the fact that they're new and they're in
Mhm.
a new environment and they don't know what they don't know, and you know their pathway to success is quicker, right? It's easier, it's more defined, and
Oh
like
yeah.
you know like we have agents now they walk in the door and they're like onboarding writing contracts and stuff in their first 30 days. And I used to hire people and tell you there's 100 days of hell. Like it's going to take you a minute to settle in and get your boots under you. And but all of that is because of the success that you guys had in the beginning. Like you know coming in and championing the system and
Pioneers paved the path, went through the struggles.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Mhm.
But so like 2025, Barndo 2.0, you 2.0, things are transitioning. You're you know locking in because you got this new system that's really catered to you know someone like you is going to have massive success
Mhm.
with the new system, and it was done intentionally, right? Because it's all about how do we impact the most people. Well, the only way you can do that is to get a more efficient process, right? Have better expectations, better experiences, and do it as efficiently as possible. And so, as we move into that 2.0, and now you've got the ability to come back and just focus on revenue generating activities and sales and like the process of sales and like um it's all relationships,
Mhm.
right? You're building the initial relationships with so many people. And part of that, like your 2025 plan, like now that you have time to focus on being a rock star in one seat, what are some of the things you're doing this year that you know you're excited about?
Yeah, so just honing in on just sales, but last year it was hard to like that's why I think I have this reputation of being really aggressive on the front end of the sale. Like you're going to onboard now or I'm just like I don't have time for even like follow up because I was so bogged down on everything else. And so developing a really good follow up system because some people just aren't ready on that first initial call. And what I found is a lot of people have land, they're ready to build, they're ready to go. But like at least half of the calls that we get, they're really like they have this big dream. They've been dreaming about building a barn dominium for years, but they're so like it's such a not everyone's building a barn dominium, so they feel really like, where do I start? Like, what do I do? Like, is there a community I can like latch on to where I can kind of learn about how to even start? I don't have land. And so, and then they end up kind of in the pipeline and I call back, a few months later and they're still in the same boat. So I really wanted to There's a lot of a lack of information as well on like how to get started. And so I was like, how can I add value to prospective clients that are in that boat that, I feel all their excitement on that call, but they just don't, they're stuck. And so now that I have more time to get involved more with sales, I started a YouTube channel. So I've been starting to record and just put like good information out there on, way early in the process, just like, tips on purchasing land, like what are some good questions to ask when you're looking for land. And I have a website, barndominiumsandland.com. And so we're working, it's almost kind of put together, but where you can go on there and I will set you up with an agent. So I've got land experts that I'm partnering with, and as well as lenders and everything like that. So, we'll set up a customized search for you. We have access to even like off market properties and whatnot, because that is like one of the biggest struggles is just finding land, walking through that, and then also like, well, where do I start? Do I like get my floor plans beforehand, and should I wrap this all together in a one-time close? And people are really just needing that information. So creating that YouTube channel as a platform to get information out there and assist with people who are kind of struggling there. And I also have a Facebook group, Barndominiums and Land Community, where the goal of that is to have clients that have built and gone through the process. Also guide people that maybe early on in that and see that this is feasible, or just ask questions like, I wanna go with, like, French gray for my walls, like, did anyone do, their walls that color? And so just a community where, people are in the same boat and they can kinda go off of their ideas and information and all of that, because it's such a niche thing. That's where I'm kind of putting my attention and focus on. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna be launching the YouTube channel beginning of March, Barn Dominiums and Land, and that Facebook group, and then the website as well. So, focusing on just those type of things, which that lights me up. I'm
I
excited
love it.
about that. Yeah.
It makes me excited to have somebody like that in on my team. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing. Is like I, you can look at like the analogies, right? Like it's
Mhm.
championship coaches and like sports, right? Like they you can coach a championship team, but the real test of like who really made a like a legacy impact are the coaches who built other championship coaches. And like I remember you came to me with that idea and I was like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." And
Yeah.
like connected you with a couple people, you
Mhm.
knew some people and I plugged you in with some other people to like get that launch cuz like it's powerful. You have a perspective that's unlike most people's perspective. You've talked to more people than even me about barndominiums, and heard all their counters and why they can't do this and what they're stuck on. And like you have a perspective that I don't have, and the ability to get that out in front of people and help them and use that as a resource and a tool to help grow and connect them to more opportunities to grow. Like, and the thing about it is this: is you would share this because we're all in the same boat. Is our goals for you to win. We might not be
Mhm.
the one, but like, let me at least give you the tools so that you don't go out here and like waste your
Right.
money, with some fly by night thing that pops up. You see somebody ran a Facebook ad saying they're doing barndos now because, they know that they're popular. Um, that's not the best option, right?
Right.
And so, just educating people, and that's kind of the process that we took with like even launching this channel was like there's so much bad information.
Information. Yeah.
God, we need a bunch of better information. And
Mhm.
so it makes me excited to see you champion something like that. And I'm excited to see it unfold. And like, I know that it's going to help people. And it's from a cool angle. And like, who's going to know more than somebody that's inside of one of the biggest barn companies on the planet Earth that talks to more clients and is onboarded and put more people through a process than anyone?
Mhm.
You've probably sold more barndominiums than any other person on planet Earth. And like, when you take that into perspective, like how qualified could you be to provide them insight, right? I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see it launch.
Yep.
That's big. That's big time. That's big time stuff. I love it. Um, what about any kind of cool projects or something like that you got going on that you're excited about?
Well, I wanted, and you've always encouraged me from the get go to, my background is music. So, went to school for violin pedagogy, so teaching violin. So I was doing that a little bit before I got into real estate, and then I dove into real estate full time. And so I kind of want to tap back into that. Just like I remember you were telling me, like, tap into that more. Go, do what you love to do. And that's going to reflect in your work too. And working on, because I feel like I've been in survival mode for so long. And I feel like this is my year to get back into the things that I love to do, get my energy right. And that will translate into business as well. But I was talking to Andrew too, because I guess you guys do recording and
Mhm.
everything. So I want to do an album. I want to record an album. That's a long time dream that I've been wanting to do with my sisters because we all play instruments. And my sister's moving here from Boston. She's a travel nurse. So actually, she just closed on her home here. So that's exciting. We'll all be together and we can get back into music more. I've got a couple students in the neighborhood, so I'll just, part-time little bit here and there, but it's nice to kind of go back to that and do what I love. So that's another kind of not business, but kind of a personal thing that I'm wanting to explore more. And yeah, hopefully this year record an album. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
no, you're going to. Like now we just got to put a date on it. We're
Yeah.
right here in the room. Like you can't leave now. You know what I mean?
I
Like
just have so
eh,
many goals. I'm
we
like,
got
oh,
Brad. I'm gonna be like Brad. We got to put a date on the
oh,
calendar
no,
for
yeah. See, I
Shannon's
need a
album.
date. This is
Yeah.
why this podcast was good because it was like one of those things where I'm like, yeah, eventually I want to do like a YouTube channel. And then you asked, and Haley was like, how about this date? And I was tempted to kind of push it out and like, you know what? This is going to force me to like get everything done. Like, I was literally on the phone with Jeff today and I was like, what should I name my YouTube channel? I got to put this together and the deadline's here. And it's like, okay. Like, and that's how I work. I mean, I'm last minute. I need a
Yeah,
deadline to
that's awesome.
focus. So,
No, but yeah, you said
yeah.
surviving and like like you got to survive.
Hmm.
That's the basic need. But the goal is to thrive. And so when you can go from survive to thrive, man, life gets sweet.
Yeah.
It gets so sweet, and the perspective changes, right? And that whole idea of not being a human doing, of being a human being, I think is permission. And so, like when I heard it the first time from one of my mentors, it gave me permission to not feel guilty for not tying my worth to my performance and to really be able to lean back and focus on my family and focus
Mhm.
on all my little kids and the little moments and like, you know, not just rush through and like they're trying to tell me about their day and like trying to hear it so that you can like engage a little bit, but then go back to being busy, but like to
Mhm.
stop, get on a knee, be eye to eye, and hear a 4-year old's perspective of their day and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time took me a long time to be able to say that I'm thriving. And like, I'm big on words. So like, every year try to find something that's like the meaning behind it and all this stuff. And like I chose flourish. And like my wife was like, I would have never dreamed that's the word you'd come up with. But I was like, that's where I'm at.
Mhm.
Um, I want to flourish. I want to be able to enjoy life. I want to be able to enjoy people and the things that I'm involved in and enjoy them not as a task, but as something I get to do because I love doing it. And it's it's just a perspective shift. It's like
Mhm.
everything can become a checkbox. And there's a time and place for checkboxes. You
Yeah.
got to have them, right? It takes you got to get the checkboxes done so you can arrive in a place where you can say, I'm not doing this to check the box,
Mhm.
right? I'm doing it to keep myself in check. And that paradigm shift from survive to thrive is one that few people ever get to step into. And so to hear you speak it and like, because you're not in survival mode, you're gonna like you have all the opportunity in the world, right? Just to do what needs to be done, but now to like lean into that music. And I remember that, like,
Mhm.
you've been through some personal struggles on a high level, um, and it's been amazing to see you become who you are today, coming through all that. And I remember one of those things like, um, you told me one time in passing, you were like, "I also have this other Instagram thing," and, like, you
Uh-huh.
shared it, and I started watching, and I'm like, "Holy crap. How do I know you and not know this about you?" Like, how beautiful is it that you can play all this classical music and like, it's just amazing. And I remember coming to you and saying, like, "Hey, life is tough. You're gonna find things, and if you don't tap into what you love, you will fill yourself with things that 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 will take away.
Mhm.
Like it's easy to put things in our life that take away time and take away joy and take away things because we're trading that stuff for more money, more events, more adventure, whatever. Focus on something you love,
Yeah.
and like I think it's a permission thing because high performing people don't ever give themselves permission to not be high performing,
Yeah.
and that human doing piece to human being hit with you because
Yeah.
you're driven, right?
Well, that's so huge for me, and that was one of the things that when we were at the annual, it was throw away your bullshit into the fire. Like, what are you holding on to? And that was so big for me because I really struggle with that as far as, my whole self worth is defined by my performance, very performance based. If my numbers aren't high, I'm not on the top, like I feel like I'm just a complete loser. And so there is a dark side, I think, too, and I'm always striving to be successful, but if you don't get yourself in check as far as like your worth isn't defined by that, there can be a very dark side to the pursuit of success. And I've seen that firsthand with, my late husband because, a lot of, and he had his own demons, but like, we were the same person as far as like, I got to be at the top. I have to, my State Farm agency has to be the number one. And he hit that. And then you get there and you can only sustain that for so long. And sometimes you're not always at the top. And if you don't put your worth somewhere else other than your performance, you can spiral really bad. And so that definitely contributed to a lot of people that I know that in the sales industry and whatnot struggle with substance abuse, mental health issues, and I think a lot of people aren't aware of how negatively that can impact you. And I struggled with that like the past couple of years. And I think that's why it's just like, I gotta be number one. I gotta like be number one in this competition. I gotta prove myself. And a lot of really successful people have a chip on their shoulder. And, where they just didn't feel enough, maybe growing up or, something, whatever. And so, I embrace the fact that I'm that way and that like it motivates me and whatnot. But if it's not in check, then it can really spiral out of control. And you always help ground me, like, and so that's why that statement was so meaningful to me that like I have to remind myself I'm not a human doer, I'm a human being. And so that's what, this year I really want to, yeah, not be in that survival mode, flourish, do the things that I love, and spend more time with my daughter, be present, take time to smell the roses, and, all those corny statements.
I look forward to
But
it. 2025 is going to be an incredible year for you,
it's
and I
my
can't
year.
wait for the album to drop. I can't wait for the website to go live, the YouTube channel.
I know. I was like, I
It's
gotta write
going
a
to be
book.
the
I gotta do
year.
this.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's
Let's go.
go. All
I'm
right.
ready.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. This has been awesome, and I know
Thanks.
everybody that's watching is like, I can't wait to get on the phone with Shannon. All right.
All right. Thanks.